The evidence we have at this point is that the aircraft broke up in flight.
Tonight on Fox 13 News at 9, new details have been revealed about that Salt Lake City-bound plane that went down in Nevada, killing 5 people on board. What we're learning about the victims and why the Utah-based company is no stranger to the feds.
A push of some snow showers here across northern Utah with more storms lining up. How long will we keep the snow going? And how much are we expecting? I'll let you know the forecast.
She's my first big celebrity client, first A-list, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy.
The makeup artist and hairstylist behind Gabrielle Union's All-Star Weekend looks.
And we now know what's next for former Utah Jazz head coach Quinn Snyder, where he's heading, coming up in Fox 13 Sports.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
And thanks so much for joining us. Tonight, I'm Amy Nay. So tonight we are learning more about the 5 people who died in the medical flight that crashed in Nevada this weekend. The aircraft was on its way towards Salt Lake City, was operated by a South Jordan company, apparently with a history of NTSB investigations. Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser has more now on what investigators say could have caused this tragedy. She joins us live now in the studio. Emily.
Amy, this is a Pilatus PC-12 NGX, very similar to the 2002 Pilatus PC-12 that was bound for Salt Lake City Friday night. Today, a spokesperson with the National Transportation Safety Board says the plane's right wing and its horizontal stabilizer and elevator just broke apart thousands of feet up in the air.
When a medical flight to save a life tragically takes away 4 more, aviation investigators want to figure out what caused a plane to fall apart midair.
We'll have a pretty good idea then of why, but right now we just don't know.
According to GoFundMe, Mark Rand and his wife Terry were on a care flight from Reno to Salt Lake City for life-saving medical treatment for Mark. Scott Walton was the pilot, Ed Pricola, the flight nurse, and Ryan Watson, a first-time father to a newborn last month, was the flight medic.
The highest the flight attained was just over 19,000 feet when radar noticed that the aircraft was in a descending right turn.
The Pilatus PC-12 was only in the air for 14 minutes when it crashed outside Reno. No one survived.
Overstress is one of the things. The aircraft could encounter turbulence. We don't know that yet.
NTSB Vice Chairman Bruce Landsberg says this crash is unusual. Investigators are looking at all possibilities, with weather getting, quote, very close scrutiny.
These airplanes are designed to fly in that type of weather condition, but obviously there could be something.
The investigative team will also look at pilot reports and maintenance records. The aircraft was operated by Guardian Flight, a medical transport company based in South Jordan.
This will be the 4th event that the NTSB has investigated with Guardian Flight over the last several years.
In December, a Guardian-operated flight went down near Hawaii, killing 3 people. 3 others also died in a crash in Alaska in January 2019. The NTSB also investigated another incident in Arizona where a pilot lost control. As for this crash, the preliminary report should take about 2 weeks and the probable cause 12 to 18 months. Reporting live in the studio, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Emily, thank you. We switch gears right now to another top story for us, and that's the weather. This is a live look right now off of Main Street in Tremont and, of course, in northern Utah, where there is some fresh snow on the ground. We check in with meteorologist Breck Bolton, who's tracking this one for us and telling us what comes next. Are we all getting some snow out of this one?
Well, for at least northern Utah, this storm, that was where the focus will be. As we're seeing that activity right now towards central, southern, eastern Utah, a few clouds around, but from radar, yeah, you're seeing a lot of blue, but even some green as well, where most of the heavier showers, particularly north of Ogden, as we are seeing the snow. But even for the valleys, it's been a mixture of rain and snow throughout the afternoon here, pushing through the evening. As you can see right now from radar, a little bit of activity through the Salt Lake Valley. The dominant color there, green, indications that, yeah, we're seeing mainly kind of some rain showers there. Once you get into Layton northward, kind of spotty, light snow showers where we're seeing the darker blue. It's a little heavier snow that's tracking through. That's why we showed you up in Tremont where we're seeing those snow-packed roads. Really really going from Brigham City up through Tremont and then moving through Sardine and Logan Canyon. Elsewhere, it's definitely some wet snow that hasn't been sticking to the roads. But once you get north of Logan, Tremont and northward, again, it is sticking, posing all kinds of problems here for traveling. As we look at the temperatures, you can see why we're seeing kind of more of a mixture of rain and snow from Ogden through Salt Lake City as temperatures well above freezing. As we're getting close to freezing, though, like up in Logan, that's why we're seeing the snow there. In addition, we're seeing some gusty winds as we're seeing sustained winds here across northern Utah, anywhere between 15 upwards of 25 miles per hour, and some stronger wind gusts where we're lighting things up, getting ready for this week, another snow-filled week, as we're going to see, at least initially, a lot of the focus here across northern Utah. But let's get you through tonight, where a possibility of some scattered light snow showers moving through, as we're going to be starting off Monday, seeing the snow, and it will continue on with a series of storms. We'll have details of the timing of it all, what will this pose for traveling, and how much snow we're expecting. That's all coming up.
Thanks so much, Brack. Now to a West Jordan man who has been arrested, accused of shooting and killing an Ogden man and leaving his body on the side of I-80 in Tooele County. According to court documents in this case, 30-year-old Alejandro Manuel Moore, who also goes by Alex Moore, shot and killed Anthony Bracamonte during the early morning hours of February 12th. Witnesses told authorities that the suspect, the victim, and the suspect's mother were on their way to Wendover when they got into an argument. Both the victim and the suspect got into an altercation of some kind after the victim allegedly committed sexual acts with the mother. It was in that fight when the fatal shots were fired. Bracamonte's body was found on I-80 near Grantsville 3 days later. Yesterday, troopers spotted Moore's car in Washington County, and they tipped off St. George police officers, and they made the arrest. Moore is being held at the Washington County Jail awaiting transportation to Tooele County. Now to news about a missionary with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, now recovering in the hospital tonight after being stabbed in the neck while serving his mission. Elder Maxwell Fish, who was serving in Colombia, was with his companion when they were robbed and assaulted on Friday. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints released a statement on the incident saying in part, quote, "Other missionaries in the vicinity of this crime have been moved out of the area as a precaution, and our prayers are with these missionaries and their families that they may be strengthened and healed during this difficult time." 5 working days left in the 2023 Utah State Legislative Session, and your lawmakers are still filing bills. New one to tell you about. My Provo Senator Keith Grover would have the state auditor conduct a study on a school district split, including impacts to taxpayers. It appears to be in response to efforts to create a new school district in Orem, splitting off from the Alpine School District. The bill may not pass this session, but it's likely will come back next year. The legislature has given final approval to a bill designed to prop up the Colorado River. The bill by Orangeville Senator David Hinkins allows a person to send water down into Lake Powell without losing their rights. It's similar to a bill passed last year to help the Great Salt Lake. The bill now goes to the governor for his signature or veto. A local makeup artist and hairstylist scoring an A-list client during NBA All-Star Weekend, but they're now using their time in the spotlight to highlight something even bigger. Fox 13 News reporter Daria DeBrule spoke to both of them about their experience with actress Gabrielle Union and the importance of being able to do hair and makeup on all skin tones.
When Savannah Norman first started doing makeup, she could only dream 5 years later Gabrielle Union would be sitting in her chair.
Her agent reached out to me on Instagram and just mentioned like a high-end client. She never said the name, and then as we got more into detail, she was like, "Oh, it's for Gabrielle Union," and I was like, "Wait, is this real?"
Her manager was just looking for glam that was able to service any and everybody.
Tanisha Luckett is a freelance hairstylist. She teamed up with Norman over All-Star Weekend to make the award-winning actress vision come to life.
The first day I was so nervous, so nervous. When I was driving over there, I called my mom and she did all these affirmations with me.
She had a vision and we just went with that vision. She liked big, beachy waves, and it's right up my alley. I love a big hair.
But for Norman and Luckett, it's not just about celebrity clientele. It's about making sure everyone can be serviced regardless of skin color and hair texture.
It's been my goal from day one to have a diverse portfolio, because being a woman of color, growing up I was like, oh, I could never hire an artist out here because they didn't showcase any deep skin.
Being able to work on anybody, I think, number one, it's a necessity, right? Because anybody should be able to sit in your space and be able to feel as comfortable as the next. I actually created a Glam on the Go group called the Lux Group, and that's actually what we specialize in as well.
With their growing spotlight, Luckett hopes to grow her inclusive Glam on the Go group, and Norman wants to build the next generation of makeup artists.
I'm really going to start doing makeup classes and, helping other artists learn how to find their style and get into the clientele that they're wanting, because I've always wanted to be doing like big celebrities, and I'm like, I got my first one.
If you want to get that Gabrielle Union glam and you're interested in booking with Savannah or Tanisha, we'll have their booking information on our website, fox13now.com. In Salt Lake City, I'm Darian DeBrule, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Darian, thank you. Lots more coming up here on Fox 13 News at 9. The massive cleanup in Ohio continuing after that toxic train derailment earlier this month, where it stands right now. And today marks 30 years since the World Trade Center bombing, how the victims of that terrorist attack are being remembered in New York City. Welcome back. So glad to have you here with us tonight. Some national headlines and health concerns and fear lingers among residents in East Palestine, Ohio, following the toxic train derailment that was more than 3 weeks ago there. Right now, federal teams are conducting health surveys in the area ordered by President Joe Biden. The U.S. Environmental Agency is assuring residents that all the toxic waste will be disposed of in a, quote, safe and lawful manner at EPA-certified facilities.
One thing that's been made clear to me is that everyone wants this contamination gone from the community. They don't want the worry, and they don't want the smell.
Last week, the National Transportation Safety Board released its preliminary report on the investigation. It concluded that the wreck was 100% preventable. Meantime, President Biden currently has no plans to visit Ohio. The EPA is scheduled to hold its next public meeting for residents on Thursday. Today, New Yorkers gathered to mark 30 years since the World Trade Center bombing that claimed 6 people's lives and injured more than 1,000 others. It really rocked the city at that time and was the first kind of thing to happen like that there at the Trade Center. A ceremony was held at the Trade Center site in Lower Manhattan to honor those who lost their lives and those who made it out alive. Loved ones of the victims say they hope by holding this annual ceremony that more people will come to learn about the first terror attack at the World Trade Center, an attack that the FBI has called a deadly dress rehearsal for 9/11. The government wants to put new limits on some telehealth prescriptions. The DEA proposed new rules to require patients to have an in-person medical evaluation before being prescribed most prescription medications by their doctors. Now, patients would still be able to get less addictive medications like antibiotics or birth control prescribed to them by their doctors via telehealth. One DEA official said the agency wants to expand telemedicine, but with guardrails that prevent the online overprescribing of controlled medications that could cause harm. Parts of Michigan still without power. Boy, they had quite an ice storm last week. And then California gets a break from some of their heavy snow and rain ahead of another winter snowstorm. Fox's Kevin Uretsky has more on the coast-to-coast storms impacting the entire nation.
It's crazy. You don't get to see this much. It's a couple times in a lifetime, so it's just really neat. It's super neat.
This is the first heavy snow we've had in 26 years.
A winter wonderland in parts of California after a powerful storm pounded the state with heavy snow and rain this weekend. In Napa Valley, folks were out enjoying the rare snow-capped mountains. It was a brief break as the National Weather Service warns of blizzard conditions for parts of the Sierra Nevada starting early Monday. Meanwhile, in Southern California, folks are trying to dry off after heavy rain led to flooding and power outages. Parts of the I-5 freeway in the San Fernando Valley were closed due to rising waters that flooded several cars. Rare snowfall also blanketing several low-lying areas in the region.
Never heard of it up here in San Diego County. It's surprising. You don't see this often, so yeah, it's really cool.
While California braces for another storm, Michigan tries to get back up and running following last week's ice storm. Michigan's biggest power company, DTE, reports there are still some 200,000 homes and businesses without power. Many of those impacted have been in the dark since Wednesday. A DTE spokesperson says damaged power lines are to blame, but they hope to be fully operational by the end of the day.
It's a little frustrating because I got the kids and stuff like that, and just making sure they're safe.
The coast-to-coast winter storms are expected to continue this week, with severe weather arriving to the Central High Plains Sunday night. Kevin Uretsky, Fox 13 News, Utah.
All right, we talk about this wicked weather from coast to coast, and we're not immune to it right here in Utah. No, I think we've turned officially white all across the whole state. Even the Red Rocks down south got white.
Everywhere, right?
I know.
And then spanning over to the west coast, where I even saw snow on the beach areas.
Isn't that something?
Crazy weather.
I'm gonna believe that when I see it.
Well,
That's
we
why
got
we
the
show
video
you the
to prove it.
pictures. I know, we got it for you. We got it all
I
for
was
you.
telling my aunt near L.A. had some snow on their foothills. So.
Wow, isn't that something? It's
crazy.
And we're getting feet of snow.
And we will continue to get several inches with a series of storms for this week. Now, it's not going to be as bad as last week, but for the mountains, it's rather close where we are talking feet of snow. Let's get to it where I want to share this photo coming in. Windy in Nephi. We've been seeing wind gusts upwards of 40, even close to 50 miles per hour. Yeah, the winds have changed, welcoming another storm, which has been mainly impacting northern Utah. View from our Oquirrh Mountain camera where we are still seeing some light snow showers over the higher terrain. Snow moving through northern Utah. Concerns for travel as we look in Sardine Canyon, Logan Canyon, but even extreme northern Utah. Cache Valley over towards Box Elder County, Tree Mountain. We showed you earlier where the snow has been sticking to the road. So we need to get you ready for tomorrow morning, where we take a look at the temperatures for most locations above freezing, where, again, moving up through Ogden, where we've been seeing some showers through Weber and Davis County. It's been a mixture of some rain and snow, where we're going to keep this flow coming out of the west-southwest, so this is not going to be quite as cold. But there is a point where we see a significant cold front, which will drop temperatures, where we'll see a better chance of valley accumulation here. But wind and snow in the forecast here for the next couple of days, so it's going to be breezy. We've got some strong winds, especially over the mountains. That is definitely a concern. Really, as we focus for tomorrow, the biggest concern here along the Wasatch Front will be near the canyons and the benches. That's where we'll see the snow sticking, as we'll see temperatures a little bit colder there with snow levels dropping. The valleys will see the snowflakes flying, but not significant snow accumulations. But we will see more snow in the forecast. But with this first wave coming through, as you can see where the watches and warnings are, where we do have winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings. Warnings means more significant snowfall, where it's really over the mountains and the Wasatch back will be the biggest focus. Northern mountains here, and this is what we're looking for tonight through Wednesday morning, 18 to 36 inches. So yeah, the brunt of the storm coming for the mountains here. Great news for the ski resorts, not good news for avalanche, and not good news for traveling through the canyons. Now, Ogden Valley, so Liberty, Eden, Huntsville, 12 to 24 inches. Wasatch Back Valley, so Park City, Heber, 8 to 14 inches. And then in the northern Wasatch Front, so Cache Valley, Tree Mountain, down to about Ogden, it's 4 to 8 inches. Salt Lake and Tooele Valleys, 1 to 4 inches. Ogden through Bountiful, 3 to 6 inches. Now, this is for tonight through Wednesday. And southern Utah will get in the mix. I just want to quickly show you what the models are showing for the mountains here. Again, pushing through tonight through tomorrow, Tuesday morning into Wednesday. Boy, you see those numbers, they just continue to pile up. And that's what the snow will be doing here as we move through the first half of the week. Now for northern Utah, it's active right now. Seeing that snow where we're seeing the darker blue, Ogden northward, that's where we're seeing the snow falling at a little bit of a quicker pace there. Here, as we move further south, it's kind of just some light showers where we'll keep the flow going ahead of this next cold front, which will be pushing through. That'll start dropping temperatures and get more of the state in the mix, especially as we go into Tuesday. But for tomorrow, again, the focus here across northern Utah. We show you the computer models looking at 4 a.m. Scattered snow showers, but really as we get through the morning commute, the biggest focus will be moving through Weber County northward. Yeah, we'll see some light showers here along the Wasatch Front, but not a big concern. Again, it's mainly north of Ogden that we'll see that focus until tomorrow night through Tuesday morning. We'll get it going, and even across southern Utah. So here we go once again. We've got a series of storms, and it really will start piling up as we move into Wednesday with significant snow central through southern Utah. So everyone getting into the mix. But here for tomorrow, it's mainly northern Utah where we see that impact tonight, as you'll see those showers and still temperatures above freezing. So there'll be periods of snow, then there'll be periods of a mixture of rain and snow. For St. George, you get hit Tuesday through Wednesday, dropping temperatures, then you clear out. Again, you'll be looking at treacherous roads along the I-15 corridor moving through Tuesday and Wednesday. Northern Utah, snow, 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 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then a break through Saturday, weak storm on Sunday. But again, it's going to be piling up, especially across the mountains.
Still ahead, it's gotten a lot of attention online. Where did the new movie Cocaine Bear debut at the box office? We're going to take a look at the top 5 movies in theaters when we come back. The third Ant-Man movie saw its office box numbers shrink a little bit, while Cocaine Bear beat expectations. Rick Damigella has the top 5 countdown.
Listen, Doctor, thanks for everything, but I am feeling great.
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish dropped from 4th to 5th place on ticket sales of $4.1 million, while Avatar: The Way of Water sank from 2nd place down to 4th with $4.7 million.
So, tell me about yourself, Lonnie, and your, people.
Jesus Revolution debuted in 3rd place with $15.5 million, far outpacing the $6 to $7 million opening, which box office pundits predicted.
Beth, we should go.
Cocaine Bear also exceeded expectations in its debut, clawing up $23.1 million after industry watchers for The Hollywood Reporter estimated only a $15 to $17 million opening.
Hello. Oh, hi. Hi. Did you drink the ooze?
Why can I understand you?
Oh, great. That's the ooze. Hey, everybody, it worked.
Despite having a 70% drop from its opening weekend, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania held on to 1st place with $32.2 million. Multiple movie industry watchers from Forbes to The Wrap are calling it the biggest second weekend decline for a Marvel movie. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Straight ahead, we're going to take you to one neighborhood that's benefited a great deal thanks to President Jimmy Carter. Now we have a recap of what happened last week in court in the Alex Murdaugh trial, the tense exchanges that occurred when he took the stand in his own defense. This week, news of former President Jimmy Carter entering hospice care made many across the country reflect on what historians call his lifetime of service. Scripps News correspondent Maya Rodriguez traveled to one special neighborhood in New Orleans where people say they feel President Carter's impact every day.
It may be hard to believe now, but 15 years ago, this area was a massive construction site, a neighborhood reborn after Hurricane Katrina. Among the people that came here to build homes with their very own hands, President Jimmy Carter.
For Michael Harris, life is about the simple joys found in it. Sitting on his front porch, playing his guitar.
I say let the music play.
Harris is a New Orleans musician who has played around the world, but his greatest second act may be his role of homeowner in a New Orleans neighborhood known as Musicians Village.
To be a musician, living in a place called a Musicians Village, that's like further affirmation of the importance of what we do.
Harris lost everything during Hurricane Katrina, but found a way home and more.
That's how I wound up meeting President Carter.
Habitat for Humanity helped build the more than 80 homes that make up Musicians Village, a neighborhood specifically designed to help New Orleans musicians who lost their homes in Hurricane Katrina. President Jimmy Carter and his wife, Rosalind, were right there, side by side with residents, rebuilding this community one nail at a time.
I shook his hand, and he was just a very warm, approachable, accessible person, very humble man.
Somebody that I know came by and said, yeah, Jimmy Carter's in there. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. He's here. He's actually, he's Mr. Habitat.
In the living room of her Musicians Village home, singer-songwriter Margie Perez keeps a framed photo of her meeting President Carter during the neighborhood build.
He was just so kind and just this little guy wearing an Atlanta Braves baseball cap, and he felt like one of us. From the day he left his presidency, he's just been putting himself towards service in making communities better.
He was very hands-on. He would get the hammer out and actually
do the work.
Jay Huffstatler with the New Orleans Area Habitat for Humanity says President Carter made 3 separate trips after Hurricane Katrina, working on Habitat for Humanity homes in the region.
He's our most famous volunteer. A lot of folks think that President Carter runs Habitat when you talk to him, but we just like to tell them that, hey, he's our best volunteer that we have. He makes sure that he's making a difference in the communities across the United States and across the globe.
Back in Musicians Village, Michael Harris says he looks at his neighborhood with gratitude for everyone who took the time and put in the work to make it a reality, including President Carter.
I have a place to call home. It is one of the best feelings in the world. And it was all because of people like President Carter. I'm a living example of what he stands for as far as public service and changing lives. It changed my life.
In his decades of work with Habitat for Humanity, the nonprofit says President Jimmy Carter personally worked on more than 4,300 homes, a legacy that's still standing here in Musicians Village. Maya Rodriguez, Scripps News, New Orleans.
Now to the double murder trial of disgraced South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh, set to resume this week after Murdaugh took the stand in his own defense. Now he's accused of killing his wife Maggie and their 22-year-old son Paul back in the summer of 2021. Boy, this is a lot of twists and turns to it, this case. Murdaugh has admitted to lying and stealing, but he insists he did not harm his family. His 2 days of testimony last week leading to tense moments in the courtroom. Matt Johnson with our partner network, Court TV, was there.
The defense in the Alex Murdaugh murder case is expected to rest after calling 2 more witnesses to the stand. But it's the testimony from the defendant that is still on everybody's mind.
The defendant, Richard Alexander Murdaugh, wishes to take the stand.
On the stand in his own defense, once prominent attorney Alex Murdaugh tells the jury about his drug addiction, which was the reason he says he was paranoid and didn't trust law enforcement. He talked about lies, stealing millions from his law firm and clients, and admitted he lied about being at the kennels moments before the murders.
Mr. Murdaugh, is that you on the kennel video at 8:44 p.m. on June 7th, the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
It is.
Were you in fact at the kennels at 8:44 p.m. on the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
I was.
Did you lie to SLED Agent Owen and Deputy Laura Rutland on the night of June 7th and told them that you stayed at the house after dinner?
I did lie to them.
On cross, he detailed taking up to 60 pills a day on some days before the murders. Told the jury his family knew about his struggles with addiction and that he could never hurt his family. Once again saying he believes the murders were connected to the boat crash that killed Mallory Beach.
Mr. Murdaugh, are you a family annihilator?
A family annihilator? You mean like, did I shoot my wife and my son?
Yes.
No. I would never hurt Maggie Murdaugh. I would never hurt Paul Murdaugh under any circumstances.
And after the defense rests their case, then it will be a short rebuttal case by the state, which means that we could see closing arguments as early as Wednesday. In South Carolina, Matt Johnson, Court TV.
Coming up, looking to find ways to avoid the sticker shock when it comes to planning that spring break getaway? Well, we've got you covered. What one expert has to say coming up.
I'm Andrea Urban, and the Utah Jazz have won both of their games since being back from the All-Star break. You'll hear from head coach Will Hardy in sports. And the former Utah Jazz head coach Quinn Snyder has come to an agreement with the Atlanta Hawks. Details on his new role coming up after the break. Welcome back. It has been reported by ESPN that former Utah Jazz head coach Quinn Snyder has reached an agreement on a 5-year deal, including the rest of this season, to become the coach of the Atlanta Hawks. Quinn Snyder is expected to be on the sideline for the Hawks as soon as Tuesday versus Washington. And after 8 years with the Utah Jazz organization and falling short in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs 3 times, Quinn Snyder resigned in the spring of last year. And he has found a new coaching role in Atlanta. As for the Utah Jazz, they came into last night's matchup off an overtime victory over the Thunder, and then after a slow start against the Spurs, they managed to get the win from just adjusting throughout the game. Head coach Will Hardy said that that's what he's most proud of.
We've talked a lot this year about our team being flexible in its thinking and our ability to adapt and learn, not only over the course of the season, but in a game. And I think tonight was a good example of that. San Antonio came out, put a ton of pressure on the ball. They did a great job of denying us early in the game. Our team had to adjust as the game went on both ends of the floor. I'm just proud of the team's ability to learn in a game and not have to wait till a film session after the game and adjust before the next time we play San Antonio. This is what you have to do if you want to win. You have to be able to adjust on the fly.
Suns versus Bucks today in the NBA. We start in the fourth quarter when Jay Crowder, the former Jasmine and former Phoenix Suns player, drains the three for the Bucks to trail by 2. Now it's still a 2-point game late in the fourth when Devin Booker knocks down the tying jumper at 100, and seconds later, Brooke Lopez lays it in to give the Bucks a 102-100 lead, and then D Book turns the ball over and Milwaukee takes it 104-101. And the Lakers are making their playoff push facing the Mavericks today. Let's start with Kyrie Irving doing work in the paint. Dallas with a 32-16 lead in the second quarter. Well, LeBron James said that these 23 games were the most important of his career. This layup gives the Lakers the lead. And since early in the first. Then he scores again, and Los Angeles is able to take the 2-point lead as the clock winds down. Anthony Davis adds to it by throwing down and rattling the house. 1 second left, the heave, but it's no good. Lakers complete their largest comeback of the year, trailing by 27 and winning 111-108. And coming up tonight on Fox 13's sports page, we'll have a recap of Real Salt Lake's season opener win and a dive into the Jazz's back-to-back wins. Plus, the Utah women's basketball team beat one of the top teams in the nation. And the Utah Warriors professional rugby team has started their new season with a new head coach. The list goes on. I mean, we're just here to tell you all the things.
You got all the things covered.
Yeah, it's so much fun too to have new head coaches and just have new players on the Utah Jazz kind of finding their groove. It's a lot.
And it's been so fun because they got a lot of attention with the All-Star Weekend here. Wasn't that fun?
Oh yeah, it's been crazy seeing Vivint Arena kind of just like transform back to what
it was. But then their stars are a little bigger now, burning a little brighter maybe, right?
Absolutely.
Like Lauri Markkanen is like kind of the hot new thing.
He's unreal. 43 and 10 the other night for Lauri. So
all right, we'll cover it all for you. Andrea, thank you.
Of course. Yeah.
Coming up, what researchers have learned about why millions of people skip cancer screenings during the second year of the pandemic.
And as we go to break, let's take a look at a UDOT traffic camera. This is on Main Street in Brigham City. The snow is falling and sticking to the roads. You'll get used to this scene over the next few days. We'll talk about the snowy storms on the way. Those details after the break.
Some health news for you right now, and cancer continues to be the second most common cause of death in the U.S., only behind heart disease. Routine screenings are critical for helping catch cancer before it advances. But a new study found that millions of people skipped those screenings during the second year of the pandemic. Mandy Gaither examines the data and shares what researchers hope you'll take away from it.
After sharp declines in cancer screenings during the first year of the pandemic, researchers set out to study the following year, hoping to find screening rates had returned back to normal.
We did not see that to be the case. We continued to see declines.
Jessica Starr is lead author of a new study by the American Cancer Society. The research shows in 2021, screenings for breast cancer fell 6% when compared to 2019 before the pandemic, which means about 1 million fewer people were screened for that disease. Screenings for cervical cancer fell 15%. That's about 4.4 million fewer people. And for prostate cancer, screenings fell 10%, about 700,000 fewer people. Those declines especially sharp in Asian communities.
This was especially concerning considering that non-Hispanic Asian persons tend to have high cancer mortality. and are less likely to be screened.
The research shows the rate of colorectal cancer screenings stayed the same in 2021 when compared to pre-pandemic levels.
This can be associated with an increase in stool testing, which is home-based, that offset a decline in colonoscopy testing.
Screening can help catch cancer early, increasing odds of survival. At this point, it's unclear the effect missing screenings will have. Separate research finds screening rates return to normal in 2022, and health experts urge anyone who missed a routine cancer screening to catch up now. I'm Mandy Gaither reporting.
All right, a little money news for you right now. If you have looked at flights lately ahead of spring break and summer travel, you may have been a bit shocked with travel demand. Sky-high prices are as well. Cole Higgins has a look at how you can save on airfare.
If you're trying to plan your next getaway and are looking for flights, heads up.
Travelers are going to experience true sticker shock if they're booking travel this spring or summer.
Haley Berg, the lead economist at mobile travel app Hopper, says U.S. domestic fares are about 20% higher than they were this time last year.
That said, airfare is only about 5% more expensive than what you would have paid pre-pandemic.
And that's the good news.
International travel right now is more expensive than it has been in years.
Demand is soaring for travel to the Asia-Pacific region, the last to open to international visitors. Asia airfares are about 50% higher compared to 2019, and prices are up in other regions too.
Airfare to Europe up 15%, airfare to Mexico and Central America up 30%.
So how can you possibly save money on flights? One, Berg says be flexible on when and where you fly.
If you're headed to an international destination, flying on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday can save you about $150 per ticket off of weekend prices. Same goes with the destination you're flying to. Oftentimes, we see airfare under $400 or $500 to Portugal. It's a great gateway country that gives you access to more regional and cheaper flights throughout Europe.
2, monitor the price of a trip through an app and you'll be notified when it's the right time to book. Lastly, consider delaying vacations until the shoulder season.
September and October, you can save as much as 30% off some of those peak summer prices.
I'm Cole Higgins reporting.
Well, so we start things out. Take a look at this UDOT traffic camera. This is coming out of Sardine Canyon, moving into Wellsville. Whiteout conditions. We've got the snow falling, and we've got some gusty winds posing all kinds of problems, especially traveling through some of the canyons of northern Utah. Sardine Canyon, Logan Canyon, that will be a big focus for Monday morning commute. Want to highlight that we mentioned all the storms from coast to coast. It's sandwiched in between. We have some severe thunderstorms moving through the central plains into northern Texas. We call this a derecho. This is a fast-moving line of thunderstorms. It's large. We can see wind gusts in excess of 80 to 100 miles per hour, so hurricane force winds. Plus, we do have tornado watches in effect for that region. So you're going to hear about that. And of course, we're going to be talking big here with the next storms that will be tracking here through northern Utah, where we do have watches and warnings in place. Right now in Salt Lake City, it's calm, mostly cloudy skies, at least with the showers. I shouldn't say it's not calm with the winds, where we've been looking at some strong wind gusts, sustained at 21 miles per hour, but with wind gusts in excess of 35 to 40 miles per hour, as it's going to be blustery here for the next couple of days in preparation of these storms that will be tracking through. And with that, we have some big travel impacts. For tomorrow, the focus will be mainly across northern Utah. Southern Utah, you get in the mix come tomorrow night through Tuesday. So all in all, we'll keep these storms going. But again, the first one will be impacting northern Utah. And again, the biggest focus here will be across the mountains. So canyon travel, a big issue for tomorrow morning's commute. Now for the valleys, it looks like Ogden northward, we're going to see the snow falling and sticking to the roads. But through the central and southern end of the Wasatch Front, even though you'll see some showers, the valleys should be okay, where we're going to be looking at accumulations anywhere between 1 to 2 inches. But again, the benches, the canyons, it's going to be a concern. Now, I mentioned the watches and warnings that are in place. First, let's talk about the winter storm warning. That's where we're going to see more significant snowfall. We're talking about the mountains through the Wasatch back. So that's why we're saying canyon travel will be a big issue. Now, as we talk about the valleys, again, looking through Davis County northward, that'll be the big issue. And then tracking through the western Uinta Mountains, southwest Wyoming, as this will be in effect until Tuesday morning. Let me just show you again the snow amounts as what we're expecting here, not only for tonight through tomorrow, but Tuesday into Wednesday. Again, talking feet of snow for the mountains of northern Utah. Ski resorts really liking this. We're going to have all kinds of avalanche concerns here for the next 3 days. Ogden Valley, so Liberty, Eden, Huntsville, 12 to 24 inches, 8 to 14 inches for other Wasatch Back Valleys, so Camas, Park City, Heber. Now, northern Wasatch Front, you're going to see a lion's share of the snow as far as where we see it accumulating in the valleys here along the Wasatch Front. You move further south, less accumulation expected. Again, this will be a big focus here for tomorrow through Tuesday morning here across northern Utah, but then we'll keep it going with another couple storms rolling through. But right now we're seeing, at least as you can see, that darker blue, mainly north of Ogden, and that'll be a big focus for tomorrow morning's commute. But then we've got storms lining up, pushing through. We'll keep active weather going through Wednesday. But right now, as we look for this first wave and for the storm that'll be impacting mainly northern Utah tomorrow, you can see waking up tomorrow morning here along the Wasatch Front, we will be seeing that snow, but really sticking to the roads north of Ogden, along the benches and through the canyons as well. So tomorrow's high temperatures, as we do find us, and with that westerly, southwesterly flow, will be in the 40s. So a mixture of rain and snow throughout most of the Wasatch Front with those colder temperatures. That's why we're saying it's going to be snow and snow sticking to the roads. St. George, you're getting into the mix Tuesday and Wednesday with a mixture of rain and snow and some colder temperatures on Wednesday. Then you clear out, you start warming back up heading into the weekend. Northern Utah will keep the snow going on and off again, with biggest focus for Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning as well, and then Thursday, Friday a break. Saturday we start getting ready for another weak storm that'll bring a chance of some snow showers on Sunday. But really, we're going to see that snow falling and accumulating here for the next 3 days. We'll be back right at the break.
Finally on Fox 13 News at 9, sometimes love can be found in the strangest places. For one Wisconsin couple, it happened to be in the line at the Racine McDonald's 27 years ago. Met in the line at a McDonald's. Mark and Cindy grabbed their respective orders and went on their way before Mark then ran after her and they exchanged numbers. And every year since, on February 9th, Cindy had a date at noon at the same restaurant with her McDonald's guy. They now have 3 kids, 2 grandkids. McDonald's had a fun surprise for the couple at their last meeting. The corporation had 27 roses sent to the location, and the owners of the location decorated a table for the couple with red tablecloths, sweet treats, and covered the couple's meal.
Oh my goodness.
How nice of them.
They knew when they both ordered the Big Mac combo.
He's like, that's the gal
That's
for
the
me.
gal I want. So much in common.
That's a sweet story. You never know who you'll meet right around the corner or in line at McDonald's. Hey, we're so glad you joined us tonight. You know, we're talking more about this snow. We're not done with winter yet.
Not quite yet. More snow, and we're going to be having some tough traveling here throughout your morning commute, at least tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Join Good Day Utah tomorrow morning. And thanks so much for watching tonight. Quick Cast coming up next.